The Coeur d'Alene fire ambush. Who was Wess Roley? It was supposed to be a routine wildfire call. On June 29, 2025, firefighters responded to reports of a brush fire on Canfield Mountain in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The terrain was steep. The air dry. Flames crept through the underbrush. It looked like a textbook response, a job they'd done hundreds of times before. But it wasn't. Hidden in the trees was a young man, camouflaged, armed, and waiting. By the end of the day, 2 firefighters would be dead, 1 critically wounded, and the suspect, 20-year-old Wess Roley, would be found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This wasn't just a fire. It was an ambush. And the man behind it has left behind far more questions than answers. The fire. At 1:21 p.m., local dispatch received a report of flames on Nettleton Gulch Road. Engine crews were dispatched quickly. It looked like a small brush fire, typical in the dry Idaho summer. But as firefighters arrived, shots rang out. From somewhere in the trees, high on Canfield Mountain, someone was firing directly at them. Within moments, 2 veteran battalion chiefs, Frank Harwood, 42, and John Morrison, 52, were down. A third, David Tisdall, was critically injured. What started as a fire response turned into a tactical emergency. Law enforcement swarmed the scene. Helicopters circled above. SWAT teams fanned out. Residents were ordered to shelter in place. For hours, no one knew where the shooter was or if more victims would follow. The suspect. By evening, authorities identified the suspect, Wess Roley, 20 years old. He wasn't a career criminal. He had no violent record. No history of mental illness. Just a quiet young man from Idaho, known for his love of the outdoors and tree climbing. He had 5 minor contacts with police in the past, nothing more serious than trespassing or welfare checks. To most who knew him, he seemed quiet, even kind. He worked as an arborist, a tree climber, and once talked about becoming a firefighter himself. But something changed. And investigators now say Roley deliberately started the fire to lure responders into a trap. He then climbed a tree, hid among the branches with a shotgun loaded with slugs, and waited for firefighters to arrive. The weapon and the setup. Roley used a 12-gauge shotgun fitted with rifled slugs, ammunition capable of deadly force over long distances. He had also rigged a tree for cover, using his arborist training to create a sniper's perch. Police later found that Roley carried the weapon legally. He also had a .22 rifle, camouflage gear, and what investigators described as a prepared kit for survival. He'd lived out of his car for several days near the mountain. It wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. Online clues. In the hours before the shooting, Roley posted a haunting photo to Instagram. In it, he crouches in full tactical gear, holding a shotgun, face obscured by shadows. The caption is a single word, Hunter. The background music? A haunting track by Icelandic artist Björk titled the same. There were also TikTok videos, now deleted, where Roley spoke in vague, disturbing phrases. He claimed to be collecting organs for the black market and said my tick is to make fear. Investigators are still combing through his social media accounts to understand what he meant, and whether anyone else was involved. But so far, no manifesto. No political message. No clear motive. The search. After the shooting, Roley disappeared into the woods. SWAT teams and police worked quickly. Cell tower pings helped triangulate his location. Bloodhounds picked up his trail. It wasn't until nearly 7:40 p.m., 6 hours after the first shot, that officers found his body. He was dead from a self-inflicted shotgun wound. The ambush ended where it started, on Canfield Mountain. The victims. Battalion Chief John Morrison had served 25 years with the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department. He was set to retire in less than a year. Known for his calm demeanor and leadership, he had mentored dozens of young firefighters. Frank Harwood was newer to the department but just as respected. A father of 3, his life revolved around his family and the brotherhood of the firehouse. David Tisdall survived the attack but was critically injured. Days later, he regained consciousness. His first words were asking about his team. For the city of Coeur d'Alene, it was one of the darkest days in memory. Who was Wess Roley? His family is devastated. His grandfather told reporters that Wess was quiet, respectful, and had always loved being in nature. He'd worked with his grandfather's tree removal company since he was a teenager. He loved to climb. He didn't have many close friends, but he wasn't angry or troubled, or so they thought. No one saw this coming. He had once applied to a firefighter cadet program. He admired firefighters. And yet, he became their killer. The investigation. Authorities are still trying to piece together why. What pushed a 20-year-old arborist from Idaho into setting a trap that cost the lives of the very people he once looked up to? Was it a mental break? An obsession with violence? A slow spiral no one noticed? FBI agents seized his phone, his laptop, and his vehicle. They're searching for clues, anything to explain what happened on that mountain. So far, there is no evidence of extremist ideology. No evidence of outside influence. He acted alone. A city in mourning. In the days after the shooting, thousands lined the streets as fire engines carried the bodies of Morrison and Harwood to a memorial service. Flags flew at half-staff across Idaho. Candlelight vigils lit up city parks. Children placed flowers outside fire stations. The town was heartbroken, but united. A warning. This wasn't just an act of violence. It was a warning. A reminder that even those trained to save lives can become targets. That evil can wear a quiet face. That the ones we least expect can harbor the darkest thoughts. And perhaps most chilling of all, that someone could carry out such horror not out of hate or rage, but out of silence, planning, and cold resolve. In the end, Wess Roley is gone. But the aftermath of what he did remains. 2 heroes are dead. A community is grieving. And a nation is left to ask, why? Why did a young man who once dreamed of joining the fire service become the one who took its finest? Why did a fire call become a trap? Why did no one see it coming? The answers may never fully come. But the story will not be forgotten. Because behind every headline is a lesson. And behind every tragedy, a warning. May it never happen again.